There are two important facts about life you might not know. One, no mineral is more crucial to longevity than magnesium. Two, the most effective form of magnesium is stabilized magnesium ions. That's where REMAG comes in by Dr. Carolyn Dean. Experience the benefits of stabilized ionic magnesium and support your health today. Visit RNAreset.com and use offer code MIRACLE10 for 10% off your first order. Visit RNAreset.com and use offer code MIRACLE10 for 10% off your first order.
Welcome to the 5 o'clock show. It's time for Common Sense. Now, it's Katz and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby, standing for truth, justice, and the American way, bringing common sense to the world. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby.
Now, are we talking about everybody in Washington? Or just a few?
I think so. You know what, John? On Katz and Cosby, we don't know what the truth is with the drones. John, I mean, who's lying? Who's telling the truth?
Well, what happened today?
Well, President Trump came out today and said he said the government knows more than they're saying, because he said otherwise they'd be shooting them down over Bedminster because the drones are flying over Bedminster. But when he was asked, did you get an intel briefing? He said, no comment. Peter King, how do you read that?
Obviously, somebody knows something. I'm not convinced that how serious this is. It may be people seeing more than is really there. I don't know. But to me, the government should know or not know. If they know. They should know. They should. Well, in that case, why?
It's limited. It's limited.
Okay, it's a question. Maybe it's a good purpose.
How do you say it in Washington? A need-to-know basis?
Yeah, and maybe it is need to know. It could be something that later on we'll find out was the right thing to do.
What do they say about the Department of Defense?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What's John, kind of explain the CIA versus Department of Defense.
I'll explain very easily. You remember the movie Area of 51? What was it? The Independence Day?
Yes.
And the Department of Defense, the head of the Department of Defense is going down the stairs, and he's wondering, what is this place? And the CIA director goes down it, and he said, well, it was a need-to-know basis. You didn't have to know.
Right, exactly. Well, maybe. So, let's hope that's the case.
If the Department of Defense doesn't know, well, then the CIA doesn't report to them.
But if they're doing that, that's illegal. The CIA is not allowed to carry out any activities in the continental United States.
Maybe the drones never landed.
But if they're getting information.
It's above the ground.
if they're getting information.
I'm with Congressman King. Well,
we're going to talk with Ty McCoy is coming up.
Maybe it's that 18th agency we don't know about.
Yeah.
It's unknown, unnamed, very active
You were the
agency.
chair of Homeland Security?
Right. Yes.
You don't know about the 18th agency?
Well, I don't
Everybody thinks it's 17. You have clearance for the 18th?
He can't confirm or deny.
He cannot comment.
On advice of counsel, a congressman cannot confirm or deny.
I'd say the face says it all. I would say. But so today.
Let it be said. What do you say, Judge Weinberg?
Let the record show.
Let the record show.
I've heard of a show like that. There's a show like that.
Congressman King would not affirm or deny.
That's right.
Not affirm. So President Trump, by the way, you guys, and also before I forget, Jeff Van Drew is going to come up. He's the congressman who talked about the drones flying over a nuclear site over New Jersey. So we're going to ask him. We're also talking to Ty McCoy about that. We have Michael Goodwin. We have Bill O'Reilly today. And we have Katie McFarland and Bruce Blakeman.
Well, I was on the Sid show this morning, and I think the minicast is on someplace. And bottom line, it looks like they're looking for some radioactivity that will give us a sign of something is someplace where it shouldn't be.
Well, that's concerning. And other people are backing you up, John.
And the other rumor is it came down from Canada.
Well, Justin Trudeau's in trouble in Canada. We know that.
The CFO of Canada, or the treasurer, whatever his title is.
Prime Minister.
No. CFO,
you mean the woman Freeland.
Yeah, she resigned this morning, and right now the tweets are out that it's imminent. Trudeau is resigning.
Did that happen after Donald Trump said Canada could be the 51st state, or when did that come out?
Well, no, I think it followed up on my conversation with the Premier of Ontario yesterday.
That's right, Doug Ford. That's right.
Doug Ford, good guy, Doug Ford.
Yes.
And he requested a meeting with President Trump And we'll see. We're trying to
Have you seen
facilitate.
those ads, by the way, that are all over television about what a great partner Ontario is to the United States? They've been doing that for weeks now.
I think
in
WBC should
anticipation
have
of
some of
tariffs.
those.
And everybody's kind of going to Donald Trump, which is one thing we're going to talk about Michael Goodwin with. By the way, Trump did a press conference today, you guys. And in addition to talking about this, he also talked about Eric Adams. And he was asked, would you consider pardoning Eric Adams? And he said, I would consider it. He said, I want to look at the case.
He doesn't know the facts yet.
But he said
will
it looks
consider
like it's political. He said it smells like it's political.
And poor Ingrid.
Yes, Ingrid Lewis Martin, who just
they
came
forced her to
out.
resign.
Yeah, and it just came out, John, too. She is saying, I am here falsely accused. She said, essentially, she's expecting a looming indictment to be coming. She was the right-hand person, of course, to Eric Adams
that's
for so
separate
long.
from this because Trump couldn't do anything for her. That's state court right now. Bragg is going after her, so...
It's going to get very complicated. And so, Pete, so what happened? So Bragg's going after her, but the feds are going after Eric Adams.
Right.
It's the U.S. attorney.
I think the judge and I would agree. Adams' concern would be if by going after her, that's their way that Bragg wants to get at Adams.
Uses leverage. He moves up the chain.
Well, they're going after
leverage.
everybody else. It's like, it seems like, right?
So then Adams wouldn't be off the hook. Listen, I think the president's doing the right thing. He said he'll look at it. I think it's important to do.
And he's also, by the way, came out and he also bashed the Biden administration, saying, how could you be selling the border wall, parts of the border wall right now?
Oh, that is crazy. They are going to sell the border. I mean, how much more damage can President Biden do to our country?
Yeah, it's amazing.
What's today's date?
Yeah, he's
35 more days.
Right, that's how much damage he can do.
So
He keeps doing it.
Here's Donald Trump going all over the world, resolving international issues, and all the president is doing is selling off the wall.
Undermining.
Yeah, also selling off the wall. That's all he's doing.
And it's costing taxpayers.
Yes,
Not only is it undermining national security, guys, it's costing taxpayers twice. He's selling it for pennies on the dollar.
All right, let's do
and
this.
then we got to buy it back.
My advice to President Trump, the guys that buy it on pennies and the dollars, let's indict them later.
By the way, that's what President Trump said. Do not buy it. He's saying don't buy it because some of them have apparently come to him for more money, trying to make money on that.
Look what Biden said. He just did a contract.
President Trump becomes president January 20th at 2 o'clock.
Yes.
At 3 o'clock, the indictment should be ready.
Yeah, he's already saying that. Good for you. Johnny's listening to you.
Don't forget, you want to talk about what Biden putting out quicksand. What about cutting a deal for 5 years for some union members are allowed to work at home, trying to lock in the new Trump administration?
By the way, not only some union workers, it's like 40,000 of them.
Right, 40-odd thousand.
Wait.
Ridiculous.
Was that the post office deal?
This was a different one. This was Social Security.
Social Security.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and they did the same thing with the post office. They put on.
Wait a second. How do they deliver the mail if you're working from home?
Yeah. That's a new one, right?
Like that.
You don't have to show up for work. Don't worry about
Not
that.
even the postal guys.
Oh, my
you have to go
goodness.
to their home and pick it up.
Biden is
They
doing
gave
this.
the union 40,000 more workers or something like that.
Isn't that? It's amazing. It's just incredible.
I mean,
That's-
this is incredible.
It is, and doing it right before President Trump is coming in, anything to like undermine the president.
And he's trivializing the office. He really
35 more days of getting screwed.
That's a long time to get screwed.
Yeah, but you know who's getting screwed? The American people are getting screwed.
Absolutely. Well, joining us, you guys, to talk about all this and much more is Michael Goodwin, Pulitzer Prize winning columnist with the New York Post. Michael, first of all, your reaction to all of this stuff that President Trump talked about today.
Well, good evening. I thought it was a very interesting Donald Trump at that press conference, and I think a fair number of people have remarked already about how sort of calm and businesslike he seemed, polite even to the reporters, and
I'm shocked.
Yeah, a new Donald Trump. And I have been saying for some time that I believe the assassination attempt did change him. I think it would have to change anybody who came that close to death. And he has said, numerous times, I was spared for a reason. And I do believe that is part of what we're seeing here. And I would say the other part is that he is, as he said today, there's less anger, less resistance, how even the tech people now want to come and be his friend. So I think that's part of it, too, that there seems to be, even when it's grudging, there seems to be an acceptance that he won this election and that the world is not going to die as a result of it, and the end of democracy, all those things that the Democrats said would happen. Nobody really believes that. And so now I think that it's happening, and we should never forget the comparison. I mean, the politics is about contrast. And here you have all the things you're talking about with Biden selling away the steel and all these pardons and commutations. Who did all of that? He's not doing it. Joe Biden's not capable of making decisions, I would hazard a guess. That somebody else, who rounded up 1,500 people for him to pardon and commute their sentences? He doesn't know most of these people, probably any of them.
And so that's supposed to, Michael, that's supposed to go through the Justice Department. There's supposed to be a process, which obviously they quickly did that. You know, Justice Department reviewed 1,500, and that's just the beginning of it, Michael.
Yes. So, we don't know who a lot of these people are. Every time you scratch and you do a little research on some of these people, it's not very flattering. I mean, the judge that I wrote about in Scranton, who basically took kickbacks for shuffling children who had gotten in trouble, shuffling them off to these for-profit detention centers. And some of the children committed suicide. And did Joe Biden make that decision? I mean, I think there's a fair question here as to who is now running the White House, because clearly Joe Biden. Where's Kamala Harris? Has anybody seen her? It's almost like the administration goes on, but the president and the vice president are both, missing in action here.
Yeah, you know what it's like, Michael, too? It's like President Trump is already the de facto president. I mean, the way today he was handling, a variety of topics, it's like he's already leading the world. Like everybody's coming to him already for these meetings, as you talked about. It's essentially like the White House now is MIA, except for a few undermining issues, as we talked about. But the President Trump elect is really the president.
It does feel that way. That even the way the press was treating him today, it's as if the inauguration will be a formality, right? That will legally start things, but clearly everything is already in motion. So the things he says now all are about what's going to happen, and it's quite remarkable. I mean, I'm happy to have supported him, and I really hope that the way he handled that press conference today, I mean, it's not like he's dropped his feelings about the press, but he's expressing them, I think, in a much more muted way and in a way that's easier to accept. When he talks about the Pulitzers, I mean, he tried before. He wrote to the Pulitzers about the New York Times and Washington Post winning a Pulitzer for the Russia hoax. And he's absolutely right. I've looked at those. To win the Pulitzer, you submit basically 10 articles. And the 10 articles that the Times and the Washington Post submitted, separately, of course, so a total of 20. But some of them are about the meeting in Trump Tower with the Russian informant. Now, remember how that was the end. That proved that they were all in on it, that Don Jr. was going to buy information on Hillary Clinton, and this proved a collusion. Remember what a nothing burger that turned out to be? That's the kind of stuff that won them a Pulitzer Prize. And so I don't know if he'll be successful, President Trump will be successful in any of this, but he's certainly accurate. I mean, you look at that Duke lacrosse case, right? Now, that doesn't involve him directly, but it's a very good example of how the media runs off the track, but instead of stopping, it just keeps going. I mean, that, as he said, a lot of people believed it wasn't true, but it's only now when the woman admits that it's not true, that she made it all up. Well, where's the media? Where's all the media saying we got it wrong?
Michael,
you haven't heard a peep anywhere.
Michael, this is Pete King. First of all, great column today, as always. I thought a defining moment was Macron put Donald Trump in the front row. I mean, years ago, when he first came in 2016, 2017, foreign leaders didn't want to be seen with him. They couldn't be seen smiling with him or shaking hands with him. Now they were falling all over themselves. I mean, you had Prince William, you had Macron, you had world leaders coming up to him. And that to me was a real tipping point. And now the fact the media is even treating him with acknowledgement that he is the president, which they never did. Last time was Jim Acosta, those people yelling at him like he was some guy in the street corner. Now he's been treated with a real dignity, which is really a tribute to him.
Well, and you get Mika and Joe flying down to Mar-a-Lago to, with the cup out saying, please,
No, look, I think these are great things for America, right? I mean, for him to be treated that way on the international stage is a really good thing for the world. It's a good thing for the free world, especially. It's a bad thing for, the unfree world, let's say. And that's the way it should be. American leadership is absolutely essential. And you just look at the Mideast. I believe a lot of what has happened is very much owing to his victory. What's happened in Syria, obviously Israel is putting the pressure everywhere, but it's the sense that Donald Trump is going to support Israel much more than Joe Biden did. I mean, Tony Blinken, get the heck out of there. Yeah. Don't come back.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah, so I think the page has turned. I mean, it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, it is. You can feel it there for sure. Well, thank you so much, Michael Goodwin. We love having you here on the show. Thank you, Michael. As always.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And joining us now, you guys, as we're talking more about the drones and what they could be doing, we have Ty McCoy. He's the former assistant secretary of the Air Force. Ty, what could this be? What do you suspect?
What do you hear
hearing
from the Washington elites?
Well, it's great to be on with you, Rita and Katz, and join the show as always. And I'm hearing a lot of strange things, and then I'm hearing not much, which is a little bit more perplexing. I think that one of the unifying things and theories that comes to mind, looking at all that's happened, is that if you take a look at what's happened with the Chinese recently and happened internally and their designs, Mr. Xi Jinping, the president of China, may be sending a message with these drones, as well as his very long-range ICBM test in September that was unprecedented, firing across the Pacific, as well as turning down the invitation to come and join the Trump inaugural, that he's saying, Putin works for me, Biden works for me, and Mr. Trump, now you're going to work for me. And I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to have drones that can show you what we can do in your airspace, or what we might can do in the airspace over Taiwan and Guam, what we can do that we have already done by infiltrating all of your telecommunications, the so-called Salt Typhoon gigantic hacking that's taken place. So I've hacked your telecommunications. I've hacked some of your command and control for your military. Now I'm going to put up a bunch of drones. Maybe I'm going to hack your airspace and do it in sort of a semi-legitimate way. I don't know. Maybe it's a signal of that sort, if that is what the scenario might be. Now, it's interesting that President Trump was asked recently, a few hours ago, does he know, does the government know what's going on? And he says, yes, the government knows, and they should disclose what's going on. And then he was asked, had he been briefed on this by the government, presumably? And he said, no comment, which seems to indicate he had been briefed. He said he might go to Bedminster for the weekend. He didn't seem to be too concerned, per se, in that it was something that he could handle and the United States could handle, even though it doesn't appear the Biden administration may be able to handle it.
Ty, let me ask you, Ty, what? Yes. Because I was watching that too. It was interesting to see President Trump signal, essentially sort of saying there was maybe some intel briefing, but he can't say what it is. And then also he said, listen, if they were worried, they would be shooting it down, and they're not. Then the Pentagon came out and said it's not U.S. military. What are you hearing, even like vis-a-vis nuclear? What are you hearing?
Well, I've heard that there were some large radiation spikes along both sides of the Hudson, because they monitor the Hudson along with other places where there are nuclear plants, and there were large spikes of radiation in the sensors a few weeks ago, and that concerned the military and national security authorities, and therefore one theory is all these drones are up with sensors looking for the movement of nuclear materials that potentially are coming down the Hudson, maybe moving into some area where they can be assembled for a nuclear event timed to cause a lot of disruption like 9/11 did. So it could be our U.S. Drones that are extremely advanced and are flying according to kind of FAA rules that are looking for that. That's one scenario. Now, where those nuclear materials may have come from, would they have come from Chinese sources and help as a little bit of a warning shot across the bow of the new Trump administration? Would they have come from a dead hand switch from Hamas or Hezbollah since they were defeated? Maybe they decided to send us a little going away present to remind us that they can reach out and cause damage to our homeland. So there are a number of scenarios for sure, and it's not clear. I was looking for something that fits into a pattern, and it seems to be that the aggressiveness of a very large and powerful Chinese Communist Party, which has even sabotaged their own economy and their own red capitalists to achieve continued supremacy within their own country, and of course cause a lot of damage to other countries, that they might be a culprit, if you would. They have the technology. They don't seem to fear too many people on the world stage, and are claiming everything from the South China Sea to Taiwan to Tibet to a lot of other things, and are not going to be content with the United States and others preventing their rise, their expansion.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So, yeah. Ty, you threw a lot of scenarios out there. Wow.
Ty, I mean, they're looking for something, and those are very, very sophisticated drones, very, very advanced. And they made a comment, well, it's not from the Department of Defense. Well, I guess the agencies, certain agencies don't report to the Department of Defense. They report to the president.
Like Independence Day.
Just like the movie Independence Day.
There may be some organizations that exist. There were certainly the National Reconnaissance Office, which runs all the satellites. The mere existence and the name of that organization was classified up until 15, 20 years ago or so. You couldn't even utter the name.
Yes.
So there could be something like that. I wouldn't say there's a Men in Black scenario here, but I don't think it's aliens. They don't show the characteristics of physical means flight. They are very advanced.
I mean, I understand what Trump said, that those things are flying over Bet Mitzvah. What do you mean you're not going to do anything about it?
And he's demanding the public should know.
And he's going to Bet Mitzvah for the weekend.
Yeah, although he said he may not go now. He's a little concerned. So we'll see.
Well, Ty, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, keep us posted.
Let's talk later in the week.
Sounds good. Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
You all have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Wow. Lots to take
let's take a break right now, and who are we coming back with?
KT McFarland is coming up to talk about Syria and also what Trump said about the hostages there in Israel.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Cats and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Cats and Cosby. Lots of activity happening in Syria and elsewhere. And just a little bit ago, by the way, President Trump, in his big press conference at Mar-a-Lago, which was covered everywhere, he came out and said, I am demanding again that those hostages be returned before I take office. And John, it's just a little over a month.
He wants to follow Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that would be powerful if that
35
happens.
days.
Let's pray. Well, joining us now is KT McFarland, former Deputy Assistant Secretary there at the National Security Council under President Trump. KT, your reaction, what do you think is going to happen, first of all, with the hostages? Trump, it's refreshing to see the de facto president, as we're calling him, demanding the release.
You know, we've all known him for a long time, and he's very protective of Americans. I mean, he's fiercely protective of Americans. And what he said about the hostages all along is get them home. But then what he said about a week ago, in all caps on Truth Social, which means he's screaming at you, Hamas, you better let those hostages go. If they're not out by the time I take office on January 20th, they'll be hell to pay. And I think he means it.
Yeah, I do too. And what do you think is going to happen? What is your sense from all these movements? Because in the meantime, Israel's also trying to obliterate the weapon stockpiles in Syria because of everything.
First of all, I'll tell you, the Houthi chips will disappear overnight.
Yeah, yes. Let's pray. Isn't it amazing, John, that they're still there going after places?
They just shot into Tel Aviv.
Right, exactly. I mean, a ragtag group is shooting into Tel Aviv.
Yeah, and the Houthis, you could very easily just get rid of the missile batteries where they're shooting the missiles from. That's not a problem. If you look at what Israel's done in the last couple of weeks, they've systematically destroyed Hamas, they've decapitated Hezbollah, they've now with Syria and the collapse of the Assad government, they've gone in while everybody's in confusion, and they've destroyed the missile sites where where the Syrians would have potentially attacked Israel from. But they've also, and probably more importantly, they've taken out the Syrian air defense system. So you now have an Iran that's completely naked. Iran has a military, it's not very good. They don't have a navy, they don't have much of an air force. They were relying on all the proxies and on Syria to defend them against any attack coming from Israel or from anybody. So Iran now stands alone and naked. And if Syria, it has nothing much to mount in defense of anything Israel might do. And so Israel could take they could take the shot with really no consequences. They could take the shot and destroy Iran's nuclear sites. And they are talking about it in Israel, whether they do it or not, but they have the ability to do it. And now they have nothing to really stop them from doing it.
You know, that was one thing that Trump was asked about in the briefing today also, KT. He was asked, would you encourage a preemptive strike? Would you participate? Would you encourage? And I mean, to Trump's credit, he said, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to telegraph. But it was interesting. The reporters were like, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to allow Israel?
Going to do it? I mean, what a dopey question, right?
It was.
If he is going to do it, he's not going to tell you about a preemptive attack. He's not going to tell you about it in advance. But it is
Biden
something that they're talking about.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly John's point, because Biden would have. You know, they're so used to having a president who's going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to do it on
Biden
Tuesday.
Biden would say, I'd never do that.
Oh, gosh. But anyway, I mean, the question that happens now is what's Syria going to do? And it's really up to Syria. There's not one rebel group.
I was listening to General Keane yesterday, and he says it's 9 different tribes that are in control.
Yeah, and each one has a different backer. So there's a Turkish-backed one. There's an Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah-backed one. There's even some Afghans in the middle of it. There are various varieties of Muslim groups in there, Shiites, Sunnis. And right now, today, they're kind of united, but where are they day after tomorrow? They could all start fighting each other. Because remember, they have an interim government. They haven't figured out who the new leader is going to be, and they've given themselves a couple months to get that act
I think
together.
The key word in the sentence, KT, is they're not democracies, they're not republics. They are 9 tribes.
And you know, John, these tribes have been fighting each other for way before Islam. I mean, these tribes have been fighting each other. Go back to the Old Testament, thousands of years.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, this is Pete King. What is going to be the status of the 900 American troops that are over there?
Well, that's what I'd like to know. I mean, we have 900 Americans in Syria. They're backing one of these groups that John just talked about. They take daily fire from who knows whom, and I have no idea what they're doing. I don't like the fact that we have Americans in the middle of a multi-sided civil war.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Real quick, Judge Weinberg.
KT, how concerned are we to be about the Turk-backed militants, those radical terrorists moving across the country and going after Israel?
I'm not as worried. Turkey wants a new president. They want to be the king man in the Middle East, and they want Syria to be their sort of front and center example of how they're so powerful. I don't think Turkey wants to pick a fight with Israel right now. I think Turkey wants to consolidate its power in Syria and then to be the big man in the Middle East, because now that Iran is really knocked out of that place, we got to get our act together with. I mean, Turkey's a NATO ally. And they've been flirting with Russia. They've been flirting with Iran. They're kind of flirting with everybody. But we have to really get an understanding with Turkey. Whose side are you on in this? Are we with the militants? Are you with democracy? What's your act?
Yeah.
And so I think the Biden administration has never had that conversation. President Trump will.
Yeah, and he even brought that up today, like sort of which side? It's complicated. KT, Thank you very much. We love having you on, KT. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And now let's go to some of the other big headlines.
It's the top news of the day, sponsored by Goya. Here's Rita Cosby.
And, of course, a lot of other news happening. A very sad story in Madison, Wisconsin, where police now say that 3 people are dead and several others are wounded after a shooting at a K-12 Christian school. Madison police say one of the deceased is believed to be the juvenile shooter who was a student at the school. And we're going to be talking about this coming up also with Congressman Jeff Van Drew. We still don't have many concrete answers about the recent surge in mystery drone sightings. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told ABC News this week that more personnel and technology will be used to help New Jersey State Police address the sightings there. President-elect Trump today said that the government knows more than what is being shared right now, and he's urging the public to get answers immediately from the U.S. government. And everybody coming up, we're going to be talking to Bruce Blakeman, Congressman Jeff Van Drew, and Bill O'Reilly on Cats and Cosby.
And there was and one thing we left out, that President Trump received $15 million from ABC Television.
Yeah, we're going to talk with Bill O'Reilly about that.
Oh, yes. And that was for not telling the truth?
Yeah, defamation
like that, right?
case, big
Defamation.
money, big money, big money.
Breaking news, WABC.
Well, something happened today. There was breaking news in Nassau County. The New York Post is moving a headquarters piece over to Nassau County.
Yeah, and by the way, it was a huge cover. Huge cover of the Post.
At the invitation of Bruce Blakeman. And on the line with us is the county exec, Bruce Blakeman. And congratulations, Bruce. And Erin Gesmar from the New York Post. Bruce, tell us what's going on in Nassau County.
Well, today, at my recommendation, the Nassau County Legislature designated the New York Post as the official newspaper of Nassau County. And we did that for a lot of reasons, John, because basically we were looking for a wider bandwidth. The New York Post is not only a regional paper, but they are a national paper and an international paper. They have a big readership, not only in print, but online, and more people are getting their information online. So we just felt that it was a good opportunity. Many of our constituents don't agree with the philosophy of the editorial board of Newsday, which was also an important consideration. And the fact that Newsday's reporting has been very, very spotty when it comes to issues concerning Nassau County and Long Island as a region. So it was something that, was in the works, and we felt that we needed a clean, fresh start to get our message out. And we're looking forward to a good relationship with the New York Post. Keith Poole, their chief editor, was here today with others from the New York Post. And it's going to be, I believe, a very, very good relationship for both the Post and Nassau County. And it's going to benefit the taxpayers of Long Island.
How about WABC? We're part of it.
Well, listen, John, I can't say enough about you and WABC and the partnership that we have with you as well, and the relationship that you have with the New York Post. So that was a big part of it, too. The fact that we had the support of you and WABC gave us the impetus to make this change, and we're very excited about it. And I'm always happy to appear on your show. And
Bruce, all I have to say is if somebody does something negative against Nassau County, how do they say it in the movies? Make my day.
Whoa. And Aaron, let's go to you, too. What does this mean, too, for the New York Post?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. So this is a really exciting time for the New York Post. I mean, we are a paper and a website that has continued to grow and expand our coverage as other outlets have unfortunately had to shrink. So this just makes a lot of sense for us as kind of a next frontier. We think that our coverage, our point of view, and our editorial board, as Bruce was saying, just kind of reflects the Long Island and the Nassau County in particular community better than what's covering that area right now. You know, we read the media coverage in Nassau County and on Long Island, and we think that we can reflect the readers better. So that's what we aim to do.
Awesome. Peter King.
Hey, Bruce, of all the great things you've done, this one, it means the most to me. Believe me, great job. This was long overdue. You're the only guy that had the guts to do it. I think every county executive before you felt this way, but you're the only guy that was willing to jump in the way you've done on so many key issues, including transgender athletes, masks, all that. But great job.
Well, Pete, first of all, Pete, thank you. I learned a lot from you. You have been a mentor to me in many respects, and I remember when Newsday treated you so poorly that you refused to go for their editorial interviews. You said, why should I go before a board that I don't want their endorsement? I don't agree with them. Their endorsement is counterintuitive to my message and my philosophy. So I'm actually following your lead.
And by the way, also great law enforcement dinner last night we were at with SIS, those detectives. Great job.
Well,
Judge
thank you
Weinberg.
so much. They're great people.
And Aaron and Bruce having a house out in Suffolk County. I want to see the Post moving out as the official newspaper of Suffolk County as well.
So do we. I grew up in Suffolk County, so this is also particularly a moment of pride for me. But, you know, I don't think you can cover one county without really covering the other, at least to some extent, how they relate to each other and just the story, you know, that you want to tell Long Islanders and that they want to see reflected back in the newspaper. So we'll be based in Nassau County, but, you know, we'll have to cover it all as the news determines.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. Congratulations. I saw the mock-up front page. We're going to take Nassau County from the New York Post, and God bless you guys. And let's bring Nassau back to where it always was. Great.
Nassau, New York Post. What a combo. Great.
Yep.
Yeah. And listen, John, thank you again for WABC. They are a refreshing voice in the radio media, and you guys are number one in the metropolitan area, probably number one in the nation. And we're also very happy to have the relationship with you as well.
We are, Bruce. We definitely are. Bruce and Aaron, congrats, both of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Big congrats. And, of course, everybody's talking about the drones, you guys. And joining us now is Congressman Jeff Van Drew from the great state of New Jersey. Congressman, it's really concerning. One of the things you talked about was that these drones flew over, a nuclear site? Talk about that. What's going on in New Jersey? Yeah, well, Bedminster, too.
It's all a concern. I mean, this is, one of the most bizarre things I've ever gone through. And I've been involved in, public service. I've been involved for a little while. I was a mayor, a county commissioner, a state assemblyman, a state senator, and, of course, congressman now for 6 years. I've never seen anything like this. And, they are either, when I say they, I mean the administration, is either stupid or it's a cover-up or both. So let's talk about New Jersey just for a minute. Just two sites that you mentioned. Bedminster, the home of the president-elect, and they've been seen flying over there. And of course, sensitive military sites in New Jersey, whether it be Picatinny or others, they have obviously been seen there as well. And now, at the end of last week, we got an emergency email and then a telephone call from the Salem nuclear site, Public Service Electric and Gas, PSE&G, one of the biggest companies. These are not some people in their backyard at night downing some beers and they see some lights in the sky. They are at the nuclear site, and they said that they had an experience a few nights ago where two large drones the size of SUVs came within the periphery of the nuclear site, to the point that they have now, and never had to do this before in their history of this nuclear site being there, asked for, from the FAA, a no-fly zone in the air, a restricted area. Those are just two examples. We've heard many others. Now, let me be clear.
Well, what do you say, Congressman, before the Department of Defense says it's not ours, what's the alternative reason?
Well, let's look. That's a great question. So let's look at it. Is this just backyard hobbyists who are having these drones?
No, they say it belongs to the government, but the Department of Defense says it's not ours.
No, but so we know that it's not backyard folks. There may be some that are copycats, but the point is, no, some of these drones are not that. Is it a big company, some corporation that produces drones in the United States that wants to test them out? Well, certainly they would never do it this way because it would just make the military and the government angry. Third choice is the government itself, and it's a cover-up. And then the last choice is it's a foreign entity. I mean, there are only so many choices out there. We don't have drones of this size, this dimension, and this sophistication in our garage. Let's face it.
You know, one of the things, Congressman, that President Trump was saying today, President-elect Trump, was saying that that the government needs to tell the public. He believes it's government. He didn't say it, but he said, but then he was asked, did you get an intelligence briefing? And he wouldn't answer. So what do you say? And are you getting anything to indicate that they're looking for something? We had someone on earlier in the show, Congressman Ty McCoy, who's the former Assistant Secretary of Defense, and others have said this. Air Force, right? And he's saying that it may be tied to some nuclear activity. And then when you talk about going over a nuclear site there, that's concerning.
Of course it's concerning, and it's so disrespectful to the American people. Forget about Congress, just the American people themselves. Look, we understand. I mean, now they're sending in, different kinds of equipment, infrared lenses to see when it really is a plane and when it's not, and UA surveillance. When I say UA, that is unmanned aircraft, which is a drone. It's a fancy acronym for it. And they're sending that stuff in now, the government is. But why wasn't this done a month ago? And God knows what they're going to tell us if they're going to tell us the truth. The point is this, and President Trump's point was good. He actually, and you know what he said. He said that he believes the president knows, the current president, Biden, and the military knows, and they shouldn't just leave the American public wondering and afraid. Now, that doesn't mean you tell military secrets. It doesn't mean they have to say, if it indeed is something that they need to deal with, they have to tell you all aspects of it. But if they're doing, and testing different and doing experiments with drones, if they're using prototypes, just let us know that. You don't have to tell us the details. Let us know, and if they believe it's a foreign adversary, then I do believe they don't have to go into detail, but say that they are concerned with that, they will protect us, and then most of all, why the hell, if you don't know what it is, where it comes from, what it contains, what it can do, take a few of them down and analyze them.
Yeah, exactly.
They've told President Biden, and he knows.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, God knows what Biden knows and what he remembers. And I'm not trying to be mean-spirited here. He's leaving soon. But, I mean, the point is, I don't know how good his memory is. We all know that other folks had to be controlling what's going on in the government. I will tell you this, and I'm not trying to be partisan here. This is the worst administration that I can remember in my lifetime. It's not only the issue. Remember, and we all talk about it with good cause.
They made Jimmy Carter look great.
Yep. Absolutely. Remember the balloon last year that flew over wide swaths of the country? They kept saying, oh, it's nothing, it's just a balloon. No, we knew it was something more. They finally shoot it down when it's just about to leave and transferred all the information that China wanted. Come on.
Well, thank you very much.
Keep us posted, please.
Keep us posted. And we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back with the great Bill O'Reilly.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby. And joining us is the great Bill O'Reilly, host of Common Sense with Bill O'Reilly every weeknight here on WABC Radio at 9 p.m. and also mega best-selling author, the latest one, Confronting the President. Bill, let's first start with Stephanopoulos with the ABC. Big payout to President Trump and his library.
Yeah, and George has to fork over $1 million of his own money.
Wow.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So I've been saying on the No Spin News and on Common Sense on WABC that all of the networks are going to change dramatically in 2025. And that means that guys like George Stephanopoulos making a big number, their salaries are going to be cut. And Stephanopoulos, the mistake that he makes is that he allows his political belief system to dominate his job as an interviewer and a person on Good Morning America. Remember, he's not a journalist. He's a political guy, one of Clinton's advisors. And there's no problem with that. I don't have any problem with him being on Good Morning America or all of that, but he doesn't do the essentials, the basics that journalists do. And instead, he cloaks his presentation in politics. So Disney, already on the ropes, as are NBC and CBS, they have to change because Trump is suing CBS because they wouldn't release a transcript of the Kamala Harris interview. He just won $16 million from a ABC settlement, and it embarrasses ABC. Yeah, that's chump change to Disney, but it's all over. Everybody's talking about it, and it makes them look bad, as does The View. The View, that program makes Disney look bad. Is it worth the 2 million women that watch it every morning? Not to me. So big changes in the legacy media this coming year.
You know, it's interesting, too, to see The View doing these disclaimers. Like Sonny Hosta the other day was like, said something, and then like 5 seconds later, you see she's handed a note.
Here's how bad it is. They have a lawyer in a booth. So there's a booth with the director, the technical director, the producers, and the talent is on the stage. And as soon as this nonsense starts, the lawyer sitting in the booth gets in the ear because they have an earpiece of the talent and says, no, can't do that. You got to do this. It's really, I've never heard of that, but that's how bad it is.
Yeah, it almost looks like she's reading a hostage video. Like when she's, when she's reading the comments, she's like, I was just told here, blah, 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 You also want to talk about Eric Adams, who had the big meeting, obviously, last week with Tom Homan. Trump talked about him today, said that he might consider a pardon for Eric Adams, Bill O'Reilly, but he said, I got to look at the case, but he said, I believe it's political.
Yeah, I mean, look. What I don't understand about this is Merrick Garland, the Attorney General under Joe Biden. He's got to be directing this thing. I mean, Adams is too big a guy, too high profile to have just U.S. attorneys chasing him. He's got to go right up to the corporate offices in D.C. And Adams is a liberal Democrat. So why are they doing this? That means to me there's something more here. And with the resignation of his top aide, who believes she is going to be indicted and has hired the best criminal lawyer in New York City, represent her already, it just says to me that there's a lot more coming here. And Cuomo's just waiting for it. So
well, Cuomo should get a pardon too then.
Well, no, he can't because he's not involved with any criminal activity.
Okay.
So Adams
getting kissed on the cheek, that's terrible.
Right. The president only can pardon federal crimes.
No
and
kissing.
Adams is charged with federal
only
crimes.
federal kissing, not state kissing.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, what I see in 25 is Adams dropping out of the race, Cuomo getting in. Cuomo probably will win.
Wow. So what do you think?
Wait. Breaking news from Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, breaking news from Bill O'Reilly. Here we go.
Breaking news, WABC.
All right, so say that again, Bill, because that's interesting. Say it again.
I hope you pay that guy well. The guy's exhausted, and after the
he gets paid. He gets paid on a per breaking news basis.
Right, that's why he keeps playing it all the time.
I think that Adams will run, and that Cuomo will win. Simple
and
as
today,
that.
you know what they did to Adams today? They cut his knees off. They're not going to.
The matching funds.
Matching funds.
The matching funds.
Eliminated.
He's lost the 8-to-1 matching funds.
8-to-1 matching funds. And they said, we're not going to do it because of this investigation. They even came out and said that.
Yeah. And so everything's falling apart. And the problem is that Adams doesn't have any constituency any longer. Who's running around saying we got to have Eric Adams as mayor?
Nobody.
No one. So there's nobody to defend him. And I don't know if it's fair, by the way. I don't know, from what I understand.
There's a lot worse out there.
Yeah, these indictments are kind of, they're like Trump indictments. They're like stretching to get it. But why?
Right.
Why are you doing it?
Well, and by the way, that's what Trump brought up, what Trump said a little bit ago, Bill. And Adams has alluded to this too, but others that, look, he complained about the migrants. Then suddenly, they raid his campaign finance person's home. Then, he complains again, and then there's another investigation. So he believes a lot of it. And Trump alluded to that today again, too, as well. And that one is a federal because it's the U.S. attorney. And also remember, of course, Trump is putting his U.S. attorney, Damian Williams, already has left.
Yeah, I don't believe it's tied into that myself. I think there's just there is some basis for corruption in New York City that is more than we know.
Yeah, well, we'll see where this goes. Boy, is it getting interesting. Bill O'Reilly, thank you. I'm glad that the breaking news guy is making some good money with you, so that's good.
Yeah, listen, we're breaking news every 2 seconds on WABC, right?
We definitely are.
A lot of news.
Bill, thank you so much.
Okay,
and guys, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
What do we stand for, guys?
Truth, justice,
and the American way.
God bless America.
Eden Memorial Chapels understands Jewish funerals can take many forms. Some are Orthodox, while others are more conservative or of a Reformed nature. There's no one better. With services close to all New York and New Jersey cemeteries, Eden Memorial Chapels offer fair and balanced pricing and can provide easy transfer of you and your loved ones to Israel. While you're grieving, they're here to take care of all the details so that you deal with less bureaucracy and have more peace of mind. Go to EdenMemorial.com. That's EdenMemorial.com.
Roger Stone here with an urgent warning. While we celebrate Trump's historic win, inflation continues to drain your IRA and 401k. And China is now targeting your money with a kill shot on the U.S. dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with gold and contacting the experts at Colonial Metals Group. Gold has protected American wealth through every financial war. For a free 2024 gold guide that explains everything, go to freegoldguide.com/stone or call 800-747-6589. So go to freegoldguide.com/stone or call 800-747-6589. That's 800-747-6589 for a free 2024 gold guide to learn how you can protect your life's work, and if you qualify for a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver right now. That's freegoldguide.com/stone.